survival while brainstorming. I was mainly inspired by my mother and my uncle, who have engaged in many backpacking trips and other nature or survival-related activities. A broad explanation of my project would be that I was attempting to figure out what I would need to survive while traveling certain distances in the wilderness. To answer this question, I did a few things. First of all, I planned out a trip in which I would hike 2 days in a row, camp in a backyard to make the experience as close to actual backpacking as I could, and make a supply list and food plan based off of an estimated amount of calories I burned during each full day. Then I used an app at my hike to calculate how many calories I burned while on my hikes. After collecting all my information, I compared the two sets of data to come to a conclusion on which things were more or less accurate, and an answer on exactly how many calories I really needed to burn. Secondly, I made a 17-page booklet filled with survival tips and techniques I researched and tested in some cases. Every source has been cited, along with informational photos and diagrams inserted to further explain said techniques. I also went on a couple hikes with a longtime hiker, as mentioned before, in which we identified different plants, edible, poisonous, and medicinal, to gain a better understanding of what plants are common here so I can have a better, more accurate information on plants in my survival booklet. Another part of my project, my research paper, also helped me to gather information on my booklet. My research paper is about different ways to stay safe in the wild. Most prominently, how to use a first aid kit and medicinal properties of certain plants. To assist with the info I put in my research paper, I made 14 total research slides and successfully finished my paper with around 2,000 words. I think the research I did for my paper helped me to better understand how to survive in the wild, especially on my own trip. The research I completed also directly contributed to the first iteration of my project. The first iteration was not wildly different than what I ended up with, but it did change. At first, I planned on planning out my own route on a map and simply estimating based off of extensive research how many calories of water a person would need to survive and assembling a supply list, not actually testing if this research was right. After this, my project changed again, although not to the extreme. After the first change, I'd been planning on going on a backpacking trip with Clem, but later realized it would be better to settle on camping in the backyard due to my sleeping troubles and other constraints. The first iteration of my project started changing into what my project is now pretty quickly. During the first week, I started project work, as I figured out it was indeed possible for me to go on the trip. I started my first week of real project work during the school's second week of project work. I'd just gotten my declaration approved and quickly began shifting to planning and looking at potential backpacking locations. I began researching info for my survival booklet. And I also began working with Clem to research hikes we could go on together and began contacting experts for tips on backpacking and survival. The majority of experts I contacted were either family or friends, my mother, Julie, my stepdad, Udi, my uncle, Bobby, or family friend, Yossi. Although I also got in contact with a YouTuber and extremely experienced backpacker, Marty up north, with some very popular videos of him documenting his super long backpacking trips. My second week of project work was when I really started getting into gear. I began work on my research paper, went on a couple hikes with Clem, and continued heavily building on my booklet, contacting previously mentioned experts on survival and backpacking trips, and started fully redirecting my focus from planning out a route to researching places I could go backpacking. In my third week, I began finishing up my research paper draft. I continued to work on my booklet and began making a rough draft of a food plan. Apart from that, I continued to focus most of my attention on figuring out the details of the backpacking trip. During this time, Clem and I found what we thought would be both of our backpacking locations, and soon after, during the weekend, realized that we should split up. This is when I settled on my mock backpacking trip, where I stayed in the backyard. In my fourth week of project work, I decided on which trails I'd be hiking on with my stepdad, researched the length of them, and began to estimate the amount of food, water, and supplies I would need for the trip. I also continued to work on my booklet and research paper. That weekend, I went on my trip, which was a success. A muddy, rainy, and foggy success. During my 5th week of project work, I wrote out my data and began working out the calculations of my food and water needs based on the trip. I put the final edits in my survival booklet, including information I gathered in the field, and finished my research paper, leaving me now with the simple job of assembling my data in a way that can be presented on Expo Night and laminating my survival booklet. I think the thing I'm most proud of is how I handled my anxiety during this arc. Compared to last year, I'm handling myself and my work so much better. I'm also very proud of the fact that I was able to succeed with my project to get information that could actually help me carry out a real hiking or backpacking trip, and that this information can be used in the future. In whole, I'm proud that I actually accomplished the trip that I went on, hiking for miles in the rain and mud, up and down hills with a 20-pound pack on my back, while being able to stop and collect data on the way. Something else I'm pretty happy with is how much I was able to learn during this project. I learned a lot about plants, where they grow. I now spot edible plants almost everywhere. I learned about materials you can find in a first aid kit, how to treat injuries in the wild, and a large part of what I learned consisted of what I researched in my booklet, which covers many topics, like how to properly set up a camp so that if animals are attracted to your food, they will not disturb or attack you. I also learned about how to defend yourself from different animals, how to identify poisonous plants, and how to purify water, and much more. As well as that, I learned a lot about how we burn calories, how that changes depending on your body weight, and how moving and exercise changes the way we burn calories. Now, not only did I learn about survival, but I learned a bit about myself. I learned more of my determination during the trip, and my ability to persevere. I also began to learn how to put less pressure on myself emotionally, and have progressed in learning how to stop procrastination and avoid my work due to anxiety or lack of motivation. In whole, I'm very happy with what I accomplished this arc, and I'm excited to see what the next arc will have in store for the rest of the school, and myself. Lastly, I want to thank my mom, Julie, and my stepdad, Udi, for helping me out this project. They were the ones who took me on my trip and hiked with me through the rain. I literally wouldn't have been able to complete my project without them. Questions? Is that it? Next up, Morgan and Dash.
Woo!